In 2006, MySpace was the most visited website in the United States. Not just the most popular social network, the most visited website, surpassing Google, surpassing Yahoo. Every website on the internet. At its peak, MySpace had over 300 million registered users. It was the place where an entire generation lived their digital lives, where teenagers expressed themselves with custom HTML profiles, where unsigned bands uploaded their first songs and found their first fans, where Taylor Swift posted music before anyone outside of Nashville knew her name. MySpace was not just a platform, it was a cultural identity. And then a 19-year-old college student in a Harvard dorm room started building something different. Within 2 years, he had taken everything. And MySpace, the site that had beaten Google, was sold for $35 million, less than 6% of what it was worth at its peak. This is the story of the internet's first great social empire, and how it handed its throne to the competition. Behind the empire, how MySpace lost to Facebook. The year's 2003, Los Angeles. 2 employees at an internet marketing company called eUniverse are watching a new trend take shape. Friendster had just launched, a social networking site that let people connect, discover mutual friends, and browse profiles. The concept was new and people were wild about it. But Friendster was struggling under the weight of its own success. Servers crashing, pages loading slowly, an experience that was exciting in concept but frustrating in practice. Tom Anderson was a UCLA dropout and former punk rock singer who had taught himself to code. Charismatic, creative, deeply embedded in the music culture of Los Angeles. Chris DeWolf was a marketing executive who understood how people discovered things online. Together, they looked at Friendster and saw not a competitor to admire, but a blueprint to improve. They convinced their boss, Brad Greenspan, to let them build something better. They already had a name. DeWolf had registered the domain MySpace.com a year earlier on a whim, and in August 2003, they launched it. MySpace was built with one core philosophy: give users total control. You could customize your profile with any HTML code you knew how to write. Change the background, choose your font, embed a music player, build a page that looked nothing like anyone else's. Your profile was not a template, it was a canvas. And for a generation of teenagers finding their voice, that freedom was intoxicating. Within weeks of launch, the music community discovered MySpace. Tom Anderson had deep connections in the LA music scene. He personally reached out to bands and musicians, convinced them to upload their songs, create profiles, connect with fans directly for the first time without a label or a middleman between them. MySpace became the discovery engine for a generation of music. Arctic Monkeys built their early fan base on MySpace. Lily Allen was discovered on MySpace. Katy Perry used it to find her first audience. Taylor Swift posted demos before her debut album existed. Soulja Boy's breakout came partly from MySpace viral sharing. The platform was not just connecting friends, it was launching careers. It was creating stars from nothing, and users could feel that energy. Every time you logged in, you were part of something alive, something that felt like the actual creative pulse of your generation. By the end of 2004, millions of people had signed up. By 2005, MySpace was the most trafficked social networking site in the world, and the world was paying attention. In July 2005, Rupert Murdoch's News Corporation paid $580 million to acquire MySpace. At the time, it felt like a defining moment for the internet. An old media empire, the company behind Fox News, the New York Post, and 20th Century Fox had recognized that digital social networks were the future. Murdoch was betting that MySpace would become the new television, a media powerhouse reaching hundreds of millions of people, a platform where News Corporation content could find a global audience. The acquisition was celebrated as one of the smartest buys in internet history for about a year, because the moment News Corp took over, the thing that had made MySpace special started to slowly disappear. News Corporation was not a technology company. It was a media and advertising machine, and the way it ran MySpace reflected that. Almost immediately, the pressure to generate advertising revenue intensified. Murdoch needed to justify the $580 million purchase price to his shareholders. He struck a massive deal with Google, $900 million over 3 years. Google would provide search advertising across MySpace, and in exchange for that guaranteed revenue, MySpace became locked into an arrangement that constrained everything it could do with its own product. Ads multiplied across the platform. Pop-ups, banner ads, auto-playing video ads. Every page loaded slower. Every experience became noisier. The clean, creative space that teenagers had loved was starting to feel like a carnival midway of unwanted commercial interruptions. And the engineers who needed to improve the platform were constantly being pulled toward revenue extraction instead of product improvement. Co-founder Chris DeWolf later acknowledged that he had to fight News Corp's relentless pressure to focus on near-term monetization rather than building a better product. The fight was exhausting, and it was a fight the engineers were losing. Because while MySpace was being squeezed for advertising revenue, a 19-year-old named Mark Zuckerberg had launched a social network that was doing the exact opposite. Facebook launched in February 2004, initially restricted to Harvard students, then expanded to other Ivy League universities, then to all U.S. colleges, then to high schools, and then, in September 2006, to everyone. The growth was methodical, deliberate, each stage of expansion creating a new wave of demand that made the next stage feel inevitable. But more important than the expansion strategy was the philosophy behind the product. Facebook did everything MySpace did not. Where MySpace celebrated chaos and customization, Facebook demanded clarity and order. Every profile looked the same. Clean white backgrounds, simple blue design, consistent structure. You could not embed a song that autoplay blasted when someone opened your page. You could not cover your profile in animated GIFs that made the page load for 30 seconds. You could not build a digital carnival out of your identity. What you could do was connect with real people using your real name. Facebook, from its earliest days, required authenticity in a way MySpace never had. And that one difference changed everything about what kind of network it became. On MySpace, you collected friends, strangers you had never met, bands you admired, random profiles that seemed interesting. Your friend count was a social status symbol. On Facebook, your network was your actual life. The people you knew, the people you went to school with, the people you worked with. Your actual social graph. When something happened on Facebook, it reached people who actually cared about you. When something happened on MySpace, it reached 500 strangers and maybe 3 people who actually knew you. The difference was not cosmetic. It was the fundamental purpose of the platform. MySpace was expression, Facebook was connection. And as users matured and their social lives moved online more completely, connection was worth more than expression. There was something else Facebook understood that MySpace never fully grasped: privacy. MySpace's default settings exposed your information to anyone on the internet, your age, your location, your photos, all visible to strangers. In 2006, Connecticut's Attorney General launched an investigation into minors being exposed to inappropriate content on MySpace. There were real and disturbing safety incidents involving predatory adults using the platform to target teenagers. The national conversation about MySpace safety was damaging in a way that went beyond bad press. It made parents nervous. And when parents are nervous about a platform their children are using, they talk to other parents. And suddenly, an entire household makes a different choice. Facebook's architecture of real identity and privacy controls made parents feel safer. That trust was not a minor detail. It was part of why Facebook was allowed into the living rooms and bedrooms of an entire generation. In 2006, with Facebook still growing rapidly through college campuses, MySpace actually had an opportunity to end the competition before it started. Facebook's team reached out with an offer. They were willing to sell. The price was $75 million. MySpace turned them down. They looked at a college social network with far fewer users than MySpace and decided it was not worth the price. The decision would haunt them for the rest of their existence. Instead of acquiring their primary threat, MySpace continued trying to be all things to all people: a social network, a music discovery platform, an entertainment portal, a gaming hub. MySpace was expanding in every direction simultaneously, and none of the expansions were executed with the focus or engineering investment they needed. The site's technical infrastructure was aging. Load times were getting worse. Spam was becoming an epidemic. Profiles were so chaotically customized that opening some pages crashed older computers. The user experience that had once felt like freedom was starting to feel like disorder. And Facebook's clean, fast, consistent experience was right there next to it, making every interaction on MySpace feel slightly worse by comparison. The migration started slowly. College students who had grown up on MySpace began spending more time on Facebook. They brought their friends. Their friends brought other friends. The network effects that had built MySpace in the first place were now working in reverse. Every person who left made MySpace a little less valuable. Every person who joined Facebook made Facebook a little more essential. In April 2008, Facebook overtook MySpace in monthly unique visitors worldwide. The moment felt sudden to the outside world, but inside the industry, everyone who had been paying attention knew it had been coming for over a year. MySpace was not beaten in a single battle. It was eroded, click by click, page load by page load, ad by ad, spam message by spam message, until one day the users looked up and realized they were spending more time somewhere else. The years that followed were desperate. New leadership was brought in. The site was redesigned, features were added and removed. The strategy shifted multiple times. Music, entertainment, teens, young adults. Every pivot came with a new announcement and a new promise. None of them stopped the bleeding. By 2009, Tom Anderson and Chris DeWolf had left the company. The founders, who had built the platform from nothing, were no longer part of its future. Rupert Murdoch, who had celebrated the $580 million acquisition as a triumph, was now watching its value collapse. In 2011, News Corporation sold MySpace. The buyer was Specific Media, a digital advertising company, along with a celebrity investor who would give the sale its headline, Justin Timberlake, who had famously played Sean Parker, one of the architects of Facebook, in The Social Network. The price was $35 million. In 6 years, MySpace had gone from the most visited website in America to a $35 million asset, less than 6 cents on the dollar from what News Corp had paid. Murdoch later called the acquisition a huge mistake, an admission that landed with the weight it deserved. MySpace still technically exists. It repositioned itself as a music platform, a place for artists to share songs and connect with fans in the early tradition that had made it culturally powerful. It has a fraction of the relevance it once held, a shadow of the empire that once beat Google and Facebook. Facebook eventually became Meta, with more than 3 billion monthly active users across its platforms. One of the most valuable companies in the history of the world, built on a philosophy that was the exact opposite of everything MySpace believed in. So how did this happen? How did the most visited website in America lose everything in under 3 years? The answer has 3 parts. First, the acquisition by News Corp changed the incentive structure of the company. MySpace was built by people who loved music and culture and wanted to create a space for self-expression. News Corp ran it like a media property, optimizing for advertising revenue, filling pages with ads, constraining product development in service of short-term cash. The soul left the product, and users could feel it. Second, Facebook understood something profound about what people actually need from a social network at scale. Not a place to perform, a place to belong, real identity, real friends, real consequences to what you shared. MySpace was a stage, Facebook was a living room. And when people's lives got more complex and busy, they needed the living room more than the stage. Third, MySpace had the chance to buy Facebook for $75 million. They said no, the same way Blockbuster said no to Netflix, the same way Yahoo said no to Google. The pattern repeats itself across every era of business history. The dominant player looks at the challenger and sees something too small to take seriously, and the challenger goes and builds something the dominant player could never imagine. MySpace was not destroyed by Facebook. MySpace was destroyed by its own certainty. The certainty that being the biggest meant being the safest. The certainty that what worked yesterday would work tomorrow. The certainty that a college social network with a fraction of your users was not a threat worth $75 million. That certainty cost them everything. And somewhere in the ruins of those neon-lit profile pages and embedded music players and top 8 friendships is a lesson every empire builder needs to hear. The moment you stop feeling threatened by your competition is the moment you start losing to them. Thank you for watching Behind the Empire. If you found this story valuable, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who would enjoy it. Comment below with the next company you want us to break down, and follow us for more stories on how billion-dollar empires are built and destroyed.